The average person who eats fast food regularly will visit McDonald's close to 60 times a year. Add it up, and that's basically 2 months of your life spent under the golden arches. Before you go back for round 61, there's something worth knowing first. Is the food you're eating actually food, or something closer to a lab project wearing a bun? This isn't really about scaring you away from a drive-thru forever, and it isn't about vilifying a company for doing what companies do. It's about understanding what's actually happening between the moment you order and the moment it lands in the bag. Because most of us have never really stopped to ask. Let's start with the burger, because that's where the questions get weird fast. A homemade burger has maybe 6 ingredients: beef, salt, pepper, maybe an onion if you're feeling adventurous. A McDonald's burger patty, by contrast, is built from a much longer list, and once you add the bun, sauce, and toppings, that ingredient count climbs into the dozens. That's not a recipe anymore. That's a formula, engineered so the burger you eat in one city tastes identical to the one served 3,000 miles away. Here's the part that should genuinely bother you. Burgers from this chain have been left out in the open, uncovered, for months and even years, and they barely change. No mold, no smell, no collapse into mush the way a normal burger would. One in Utah famously sat on a shelf for over a decade and still looks roughly the way it did the day it was bought. Real food breaks down. Bacteria are supposed to show up and do their job. When they don't show up at all, that's not luck. That's chemistry working exactly as designed, and it raises an uncomfortable question about what real food even means anymore. There's also the beef itself. McDonald's has always insisted its patties are 100% beef, and that's technically true. But 100% beef doesn't mean simple. The meat is processed and blended from different cuts and different suppliers so that the final product tastes exactly the same whether you're eating it in Texas or 2,000 miles away. That kind of sameness doesn't happen naturally. Real beef varies depending on the animal, the cut, the season. Getting rid of that variation takes deliberate engineering, and it's a reminder that beef and homemade burger aren't really the same category of food anymore. You'd think the fix is easy, just order the salad instead. Except McDonald's healthy menu might be the biggest sleight of hand on the entire board. A crispy chicken salad with dressing can land north of 500 calories, sometimes close to what a burger itself contains. The math doesn't add up the way your brain assumes it will. And the yogurt parfait, that innocent little breakfast cup with berries and granola, quietly carries more sugar than a couple of glazed donuts. It's dressed like health food and behaves like dessert. There's a psychological trick buried in there too. Having a healthy option on the menu isn't really about you eating healthy. It's about giving one person in the group permission to say yes to McDonald's, because now there's technically something for everyone. The salad doesn't need to be good. It just needs to exist. Even the sliced apple bags fall into this trap. Fruit doesn't need help from a lab, yet the apples still go through a chemical rinse to stop them from browning, turning nature's simplest snack into something with a longer ingredient list than the burger sitting next to it. Then there's dessert, or the promise of it. If you've ever tried to order a McFlurry and been told the ice cream machine is down, you already know the pain. It's such a common experience that entire apps exist just to track which locations have a working machine at any given moment. Estimates suggest a meaningful chunk of these machines are broken at any point in time, and the reason isn't neglect. The machines run an intense multi-hour cleaning cycle every night, and if anything interrupts it, they lock themselves out completely until a certified technician shows up. Only that one company's technicians are allowed to fix them, which conveniently makes repairs expensive and constant. Franchise owners have complained about it for years. It's less a malfunction and more a business model quietly generating its own revenue stream. The fries, though, might be the strangest mystery of all. Preserved fast food meals have been displayed in museums decades after they were made, and the fries inside still look golden, still look fresh, as if time simply forgot about them. Leave a plate of homemade fries out for a week, and you'll have a small ecosystem growing on it. Leave McDonald's fries out for that same week, and they just sit there, unbothered. A real potato holds enough moisture to feed mold and bacteria easily. A fast food fry goes through so much processing and so many preservative treatments that there's barely anything left for anything to feed on. It isn't survival, it's closer to preservation, the same idea behind keeping something in a museum case. And on top of that, one serving can carry close to half a day's recommended sodium, which is its own kind of concerning when you realize most people order more than one serving in a sitting. Now think about 4 in the morning, that moment when a craving for nuggets somehow feels like the only reasonable decision left in your life. The ingredient list on those nuggets reads less like a snack and more like a lab report. Chicken makes up roughly half of what's actually inside, with the rest built from fillers, starches, and stabilizers designed to hold everything together and keep the texture consistent no matter which store you're in. Consistency, it turns out, matters more to this industry than the actual amount of chicken involved. There's even a well-known anti-foaming agent used in the fryer oil, the same category of ingredient found in some non-food industrial products, which is not exactly appetizing to think about mid-bite. Breakfast has its own version of this mystery. Those perfectly round eggs on a breakfast sandwich look nothing like anything that comes out of an actual hen. A real egg needs one ingredient, an egg. The processed version can carry more than a dozen additional ones, plus a separate liquid egg mixture used for scrambled options, shipped in bulk containers and poured straight onto the grill. Every disc is the same size, the same shape, the same shade of yellow, which is the opposite of how nature actually makes eggs. Consistency again. Manufactured instead of grown. Packaged to look effortless when it's anything but. None of this happens by accident. The colors on the sign, red and yellow, were chosen decades ago because research showed they trigger hunger and impulse decisions. The menu boards are arranged so the most profitable items sit exactly where your eyes land first, while the cheaper options get pushed to the corners. The smell pumped out near the drive-thru isn't an accident either. It's time to hit you right as you're deciding what to order. Combo meals are marketed as savings, even though pricing the items separately is sometimes cheaper. It's a system built entirely around nudging you towards spending more without ever feeling like you were nudged at all, and most people walk away convinced the whole decision was theirs alone. Even the questions the cashier asks are part of the design. Would you like to make that a large? Is a rewritten version of the old supersize pitch, which was quietly retired after public backlash but never really went away, just renamed. Studies on fast food spending have found that a large share of customers end up buying more than they originally planned, simply because of how the order gets framed. None of it requires you to be careless. It just requires the system to be good at its job, and it is. So what happens if someone actually walks away from it for a while? A friend of mine tried exactly that, cutting McDonald's out completely for 30 days. The first few days were rough. Habit alone kept pulling his car toward the drive-thru lane like muscle memory. But by the second week, things started shifting. His grocery spending went up slightly, but his total food spending actually dropped, since the cheap meals had quietly been adding up to a couple $100s a month. His energy leveled out instead of spiking and crashing throughout the day. His blood pressure, which had been creeping upward, came back down enough that his doctor commented on it at his next visit. By the end of the month, he'd lost some weight without doing anything else differently, purely from cutting the sodium and processed intake down to something closer to normal. Did he swear it off forever? No. He still goes occasionally, because realistically most people will. But now it's an occasional choice instead of a default one, which honestly might be the actual takeaway here. The problem was never that McDonald's exists. The problem is eating there on autopilot, without ever asking what's actually in the box. Once you know what you're looking at, you get to decide for yourself whether it's worth it. That's really all this comes down to. Not fear, not guilt, just a little bit of quiet awareness before you order again, and the freedom to actually choose it on purpose.